नहीं रुकेंगे, नहीं रुकेंगे, सबको स्वस्थ करेंगे, पूरा स्वस्थ करेंगे, नहीं थमेंगे, नहीं थमेंगे, अब ठान लिया है, मंजिल पाके रहेंगे, मंजिल पाके रहेंगे, मंजिल पाके रहेंगे।
तुझसे मन नहीं है भरता, तेरा बस मुझे जीने ना दे, जीने ना दे, तेरा बस मुझे जीने ना दे, जीने ना दे, तेरा बस मुझे जीने ना दे, जीने ना दे, तेरा बस मुझे जीने ना दे, जीने ना दे। मन नहीं है भरता, अब तू ही है करता धरता, तुझसे मन नहीं है भरता, अब तू ही है करता धरता, और तू पानी तक पीने ना दे, पीने ना दे, तेरा बस मुझे जीने ना दे, जीने ना दे, तेरा बस मुझे जीने ना दे, जीने ना दे, तेरा बस मुझे जीने ना दे, जीने ना दे।
Thank you. Thank you so much. But Astha Gill, as a young woman, what do you think are the biggest health stereotypes and challenges faced by Indian women?
What I personally face is lack of sleep, which is like very important, I feel. Because of the lifestyle we live. I make sure even if I sleep late, I take my 8 hours of nap, you know. Maximum ज़्यादा होता है 7 हो जाता है, but उससे कम नहीं सोती, मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि, तो वो बहुत important है.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And now we're joined by Bhumi Padnekar, actor and climate warrior. Bhumi, thank you so much for joining us. You've been a passionate advocate on the climate change issue. Can you tell us why this is so important to you?
Hello, everyone. It is a matter of importance to me because it is the largest looming threat humanity has ever faced. I don't think we as a generation realize the crisis that we are in. We are in a state of emergency, and not just me. This should be important to all of us. We've just come out of a 2-year pandemic. We have gone through an economic crisis. There are various smaller countries that are going through very, very bad financial and economic crisis, and a lot of it has to do with climate change related problems. But there has to be a certain amount of responsibility that has to come from us as individuals to try and solve the problem.
Thank you so much for joining us, Bhumi. So, sir, I'm going to ask you first. You know, we've seen the mess that Bangalore was, you know, post these floods. We see that every year, a lot of our weather patterns, the climate patterns, everything's getting quite bad. So, when it comes to economics in this country, in a sense, how much do companies like Ernst & Young and other companies that assess situations, look at the economic status, really take into that calculation what it means, the environmental cost?
So companies are now today looking at their products, you know, and their footprint and how they can mitigate some of the challenges of what we see today. I mean, we have seen in Bangalore, we saw Florida very recently, and it impacts everybody in the world, unfortunately. But what's more unfortunate is it impacts the poor much, much more. But the journey has just begun, and I think the extent of damage that you have done probably is still not measured accurately. That's my sense, because every year we predict something, but we see much, much worse, right? So I think there's a long way to go.
What exactly can be done at a school level, at a very young age, children who are extremely vulnerable to climate change and the manner in which it is playing out? I believe that Rekit and you are addressing this through your climate resilience schools.
Children need to become more of, as social active agents. Climate education is one important tool which will equip them basically to, understand what the situation is, critically analyze the effects of that situation. So including climate education in schools will be, I think, the stepping stone. And it's really important that we start doing this.
We're joined now by Gargi, who's with Dr. Anil Joshi. He flagged off a cycle rally from Mumbai to Uttarakhand, and he's kind of looking at all of these issues. He's a celebrated environmentalist. And over to you, Gargi.
We are with Dr. Anil Joshi, who, as you said today, his cycle march, they're calling it, from the financial capital to the environment capital, from Mumbai to Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand, the birthplace of the Ganga. If you could tell us more about this cycle march.
I think more important today will be we need a Pragati Mumbai and Prakriti both. And therefore, we are undertaking this mission and saying that the GDP cannot be everything, which we adopted again from the Europeans. We really need another growth measure, which we place as a ecological growth measure, gross environment product. Herein, 4 pillar: water, soil, air and forest.
Well, this is very dear to me since I'm also from Uttarakhand, so very, our full support to this cycle march that's taking place, and it will end in Uttarakhand on the 7th of November. Back to you, Swati.
Thank you so much, Gargi, for that. We are now going on to our next topic, which is essentially we're going to look at how we can all step into the future together if we want to achieve our goal of holistic good health. So to talk about this, we are joined by R.S. Sharma. You've created, or you're looking after, a new integrated unified health platform. And this unified health interface has been created. How does this actually work?
We want to have a complete interoperability. We are creating a framework where anybody could be able to search for doctors, search for laboratories, search for ambulances, search for blood banks, using the same standard API, and then could get the results, and then he could book those facilities, whether it is an ambulance or whether it's a test, diagnostic test, or whether it's a doctor. And then finally, it should be able to avail the services, which is that you can do teleconsultation, you can go there and get the vaccination done or donate the blood.
Biren Singh ji, I want to begin with you first and ask you on health as a subject matter of priority for you as a Chief Minister in your state.
Our priority is on education and health sector. We do provide rupees 2 lakh to each and every household under the below poverty line to get free medication, free treatment in the state hospital, including some of the outside hospital who is penalized. Already out of 6 lakhs houses altogether in the state, we have distributed, provided the health card of 5 lakhs is to every about to 4 household in the state.
So as you know, we are focusing on 2 big things here. One is health of children and general health care in our society. And we just want to ask you to say yes to 2 things, which we're going to ask all chief ministers, but Manipur can lead the way if you say yes. 1, please commit to increasing the budget expenditure on child health care by just 15% every year. And secondly, will you increase the number of ASHA workers from whatever it is in 5 years to 5 times what it is now, and give them a slight increase in their, or not a slight, an increase in their income. These 2 commitments, if you can make, you will lead India. We're going to get all chief ministers to commit to this much: child health care and ASHA workers.
Why not? Why not? We are giving priority to the children. Children is our futures.
So Rao, you know, as a former health secretary, what do you see as India's main challenge in the road ahead to attain Sampoorna Swasth?
I think the road to Sampoorna Swasth lies in keeping people at the center of the response. See, it should be people-centered health, not facility-centered health. We should see how we can reach the facility to the last mile, to the people who are deprived, to the people who are marginalized, who are far away in the jungles, and also who are stigmatized and criminalized, like the gay population, the men who have sex with men, the sex workers. and so many others. Do we really know that these facilities are actually being extended to them? This is where I think community-led monitoring is very, very important.
So Uttara, coming to you, you've worked a lot in the field of HIV, and you've done that in Africa and India. Earlier, if you had HIV or you had AIDS, it was like a death sentence. So we've made that kind of progress. But the gap seems to be in people getting to these drugs. So some countries have access, others don't. So what do you see as these kind of challenges in the future, since you work in this field of public health?
Sure. In countries like Africa, they struggle already to provide basic health services. And then when you add COVID to the mix on top of the HIV, it overburdens the system that can almost shut down. More than half of the diseases that people come to hospitals and clinics for these days are preventable by behavior. So we have clinical, we have policy, and then we have behavior, individual, family, and community behavior. And how can we address that? So my question is, when we think about best medical care, we want the best doctors. When we want the best kinds of policy, we get the best policymakers. So when we want to change behavior, why don't we get the best behavioral scientists and the people who know how to do that, and design strategically, fund those programs, and make sure we invest in prevention?
I'll give you an example. Tech and behavior. We travel around villages all in every state. And one thing we found that the tech is working much better, that, for example, many villages, widows are given 1,000 rupees a month, which is like a godsend for them. But all of them, when we talk to them, the behavior, when they go to the bank to collect the 1,000, the teller wants 500. That's the behavior of the teller.
Just because you come from, pardon my language, a lower strain of society,
right,
you're looked down upon. You can stand in the queue, you go to the teller and say, baad mein aana. Or udhar jaake khade ho. That poor lady has probably traveled miles to come to this, to collect her due.
Now, for BSI First, Banega Swasth India Think. A take on health from a different perspective, math and health. What's the connection? I would like to welcome and introduce Neelkant.
If you've heard of Shakuntala Devi, madam,
yeah.
So I broke a bunch of her world records to be named the fastest human calculator.
Wow.
A few of this is to actually do multiplications which are extremely big, additions which are extremely big in your mind. Quick example would be, आप एक 2-digit number choose करिएगा. Anything between 11 and 99.
Sure. And am I supposed to tell you?
No. Yeah, tell me the number. Yes.
Okay, 38.
38. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 38s to 38s very quickly in my mind. And I'm going to say the answer out.
Okay.
And it's going to be 38, 76, 114, 152, 190, 228, 266, 304, 342, 380, 418, 456, 494, 532, 576, 086, 646, 684, 722, 760. And that is to add quicker than the speed of a calculator. Thanks a lot.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
27 into 45.
Oh, that's fairly easy. It's
What,
1 to 1
easy?
5. That's 1 to 1 5.
Huh?
That's 1 to 1 5.
Yeah, 1 to 1 5.
Why are you telling me? I knew about it.
What? That was bloody fast, I must say.
Thank you.
Ooh.
1, 2, 3, start. सावन में लग गई आग दिल मेरा सावन में लग गई आग दिल मेरा ओ सुनह सीना पागल दीवानी सुनह सीना पागल दीवानी आज न सोया सारी आज न सोया सारी आज न सोया सारी रात के दिल मेरा
Moving on, India has the largest adolescent population in the world, 253 million adolescents in the age group 10 to 19 years. And these years are a time of sudden physical, mental and emotional changes. In fact, the health status of an adolescent determines the health status in his or her adulthood, and many serious diseases in adulthood have their roots in adolescence. When we talk about the amount of abortions that are happening, pregnancies. Do you think really we've moved on, and what more should be done to spread awareness? How important is it to talk to our children?
What we often keep missing out is having that freedom of sort of emotion in the family itself, because a lot of kids, I don't think, are very comfortable talking to their parents about the things that they're going through. Example, me. Like, it was a really long time since I got comfortable talking to my parents about what I was dealing through. So I think the comfort of speech in the house is where it begins and then goes to school.
I just feel that what she said is a very pertinent point, that a lot of the girls feel very hesitant to speak about it very frankly with members of their family.
Navya, I wanted to ask you, because you work, we've traveled together in a couple of places where you made these menstrual homes. Why do you think it's still important? Of course, I would like to point out, while it's a taboo, the access to menstrual products in our country have gone up quite a bit, especially because there has been awareness.
I think menstruation, yes, has been a taboo for a long time, but there is progress. I'm sitting on stage today with my grandfather talking about periods, and that itself is a sign of progression. And the fact that we are sitting on a platform today with many people watching us and having an open conversation about menstruation itself shows that we have progressed, not just as women, but as a country. And I think it's great that not just the women, but the men have also joined in on this mission of making menstruation a destigmatized conversation. And I think more importantly at home, because change for me always begins at home, and I feel that women should feel comfortable and safe about their own bodies in their own homes before going out into society and talking about that.
Vitika, you know, we just spoke about taboo subjects and things we can and cannot discuss and what we feel comfortable with. Like, where is this huge gap? Where are we failing?
We need to talk about this at a very fundamental and foundational level. If we are going to start talking about it when they're in schools, you know, really building that understanding around consent, around boundaries, that is when things are going to change. So I think as a society, I think policymakers, educators, parents, everybody needs to be a part of this process. Everybody needs to understand it's high time we need to start having these conversations. And I also very strongly feel that we always look for special moments to have these conversations, and that's really where the big problem is. The journey of unlearning is when we start to have these conversations every single day. You know, these can be your dining table conversations, wherever you are. Every little moment is an opportunity.
Jyotsna, thanks very much for joining us. Your absolutely excellent book, which actually I reviewed, but there's still a long way to go, and you've had an impact, but what do you think still needs to be done? What would you like to see? What steps would you like to be seen taken?
What I found when writing the books was that conversations are missing. We're brought up in homes where these conversations are normal. But even now, around my children's friends, these conversations are not normal. And these are children who are going to good schools, you know, good colleges. So imagine what you have to think about: the marginalized, the LGBT, the rural. These conversations need to firstly go mainstream.
When we look at, if you take birth control that's available, the burden is a lot on the women, because, you know, for a woman to go find an oral contraceptive, it's not easy to get it over the counter. The sex education isn't a thing that's there, and it's one of the most critical things that we need to have. And you're working in the Northeast with the birds and bees, so just, yeah, exactly.
How we started the program in 6 states in the Northeast. It was very difficult. Lot of barriers were there to start the program, but there's a lot of support from the government now, and Vitika really helped us when we were formulating the curriculum. And what we have seen is basically, you know, there are very basic questions, but teachers actually coming forward with. Like, girls are liking girls in the school, like they were very shy, now they can actually ask. We have also seen out of 6 states, 4 states have actually demonstrated fewer number of teen pregnancies. I can say, like, this program is the only program which focuses on this in the Northeast, and if that is happening and if that is true, then it's one of the biggest achievement of this program over the years.
I had the opportunity during one of the shows that I do where one of these stigmas was expressed in a rather ugly manner. They said, we send them out because the blood that they drop invites wild animals. What? And therefore we are afraid, and therefore they're sent off and we don't take responsibility. I mean, it's outrageous, absolutely outrageous.
Let's go to Punjab now, where Mr. Newton Sidhu is with our colleague Arun Singh. Arun, over to you.
We have been training dogs for paramilitary forces, state police forces. But during pandemic, we came out with an idea because I had seen that the dogs, they have been helping the people who are into depression or who have anxiety attacks or the fits. So already I had this toy poodle with me. So I started training her, started taking her out with a lot of old couples who were staying in my neighborhood. And there, then she started interacting with them and they started coming out of their anxiety things.
Once again, congratulations on the effort that you've been showing and the way dogs have actually come forward in achieving this target that we have of Sampurna Swasth.